Hi.
What's up?
How you be, homie?
I be good. How you be?
Fucking good Lord's willing and the creek don't rise.
Oh man,
I like the new hairdo.
thank you. I'm incognito.
You're what?
Incognito.
Oh, okay.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. You say it better than me.
I know, that's why I said it like that.
Yeah. Um, dude, there's some wild shit going on in Utah.
Utah. Yeah, I mean, it started a little while ago, right? And now everything's just crumbling, and more is coming to surface, and um, just I don't know, man.
You don't know, man?
I don't know. It's just so much information. And the LDS Church and all the secrets, are just coming to surface. And for me, a lot of it started a few weeks ago. I was like, wait, well, I mean, I've always been interested in like the cult of the LDS Church and like the different types of like the different layers, and just kind of peeling it open, because it's always been like a mystery to me. Like, what goes on in Utah? Why do they have all these crazy laws, and like they can't drink alcohol, or why can't they drink Coke or caffeine? Like, what is going on there? So I've always kind of looked into that and watched documentaries on it. Like, it's always been an interest, but recently so much has come to surface. Like, it is even happening now as we speak.
Yeah. That's like David Hamblin. You heard about that guy, right?
Yeah.
Yeah, so he was arrested finally in August, and the whole thing with him is his daughters came forward after, I don't know, like I think it was almost a couple decades, like 80s, 90s-ish, satanic panic era, and we're saying how they were being ritually abused by their father, mother, aunts, uncles, paternal grandparents, maternal grandparents, everybody. And then there were also other people in the community that were involved also.
Yeah.
And we'll have to get into it on another episode. There's so much to touch on that one. But basically, break it down. He was a psychologist. He was a therapist. And he basically... hold on, I'm sorry.
When did he get arrested? It was recent.
In August.
August,
yes.
Yeah.
I'm sorry, I had a brain fart all of a sudden. Therapist, and he basically was running a practice out of his house. And so the allegations come across where, to break it down easily, aside from the different ritual abuse stuff, he was having people from the community come in and pay him for therapy and then allowing them to abuse his kids. Scumbag. So he gets literally the daughters that go and they tell the cops. Cops are like, look, we believe you, but we need like evidence. Would you wear a wire? And they're like, so one of the sisters does and goes and asks the dad, why'd you rape me? And he's like, I'm really sorry. It wasn't me. It was the entity inside of me, the dark, whatever. And then she went and asked her mom, and her mom's like, I don't know what you're talking about. Your dad's really good at programming. Maybe he programmed me, but I have no idea what you're talking about. So he also had other allegations from before where he lost his license to practice from having sex with clients. So anyways, the bishop ends up excommunicating this guy, and he ended up going to like a Native American church and becoming a shaman and doing like peyote ceremonies, but continuing his same ritual behavior through psychedelics too.
And he's free now.
No, he's the one that was just arrested in August.
Okay, so he's not free anymore. So he got his license taken away.
That was a year ago when he had his license taken away. He was still practicing without it, but he was having people come to his house and bang his kids for money and pretend it was therapy.
Oh, wow.
Yeah.
You know, and even though they get their license taken away, the church will still let them practice. They'll just say it's like a different kind of therapy. And
go ahead.
And will recommend those people.
Oh, yeah. That's the only way he got his clients was through the church. So what's even crazier, too, is I was learning that the bishops don't have to report any abuse if it was through confession. If it's through confession, they could just sit on it and not say anything. Even if the abuser is the one saying, I abused my child, da-da-da-da. The bishop doesn't have to tell anybody because it was through confession, and they work out however they're going to work it out.
Yeah.
And then, like, so the previous bishop had sat on these things, like people tell him this. Excuse me, hold on. Excuse me. And so after that, the new bishop gets in and he pretty much tells him, hey, this is what's up. All these allegations and stuff. These are the people that told me this and that. It's up to you. If you want to tell them, you could tell. If not, you could sit on it and just keep your mouth shut.
Yeah.
But it's wild. And then like, this arrest happened in the exact same town as the case that you've been big on.
Yeah. So
tell me all about that.
It's the same exact story. So there's this mom blogger. She's part of the LDS Church as well. She has a YouTube channel called like Passenger or 8 Passenger or something like that. Mm-hmm. And it's pretty much her 6 kids and then her husband and her. And so she just vlogs their whole life, you know, like she started just vlogging like their day to day, going to school, blah, blah, blah. And then as she met this other lady, Jody, who was also a therapist, who got her license revoked because of different people coming up and saying, you know, she was abusing them. Her therapeutic techniques were too extreme. The things that she were doing were more harm than good. So instead of, you know, she gets her license revoked, but instead of like practicing out in open, she just starts to practice just in the LDS Church. And the church sees her as like, you know, like an asset. Like, so if anybody's dealing with anything that has to do with like their sexuality, or like if they're addicted to porn, or if they have like wrong thoughts or anything like earthly pleasures, you know, anything that has to do with being human pretty much, then they would go to her and they would seek therapy. So Ruby Franke met her, and so you can see the transformation in her YouTube channel from going like, oh, these are my kids, like this is what we do, to starting to punish her kids for like stupid stuff and like extreme punishments, right? So like her oldest son tricked one of her younger sons into like saying like, hey, it's Christmas, like wake up, it's Christmas, you know, just like what kids do. And the little one got excited, got dressed, ran downstairs, and it was like 3 a.m. I was like, okay, I'm ready to open presents, you know? And the mom was like, no, like you can't be doing that. You can't be messing with your brothers like that. Therefore, you're going to get your bedroom taken away. So this boy was like 14 or 15 at that time, didn't have anywhere to sleep at night, so had to sleep on like a bean bag, like a small bean bag, not even like one of those big ones. He had to sleep on a small one, and she shows it. And her followers are like, oh, that's so silly. Like, you're such a creative mom in the way that you like come up with ways to show your kids how to learn a lesson and stuff like that. So he comes on camera and he's like, obviously, like, there's bags under his eyes. He's stressed out. And he's like, yeah, I've been sleeping on this bean bag for 7 months. And it's like this tiny bean bag. It's like too small for a toddler. And they show him sleeping on it. And she thinks it's funny. And she's mocking him. Stuff like that. You know, she starts taking food away from her kids. So saying like, you know, you did this and that, whatever the, you know, accusation was, she would come up with like stupid things for them to be in trouble. Therefore, because you didn't do your chores quick enough, you don't get dinner or breakfast now. And then it would be like days. And then another one was like her 6-year-old forgot her lunch. And I guess they were responsible for making their own lunches every day. The 6-year-old forgets the lunch, so the school calls her, and they're like, hey, your daughter doesn't have anything to eat. She's really hungry. Do you mind bringing her some food? And she goes on her vlog, and she's like, I cannot believe that the school called me. Like, I'm obviously trying to teach her a lesson. She's not getting any lunch today, and I hope that they don't feed her because then she's not going to learn her lesson. And obviously, like, starting to show that she's abusing her children by not giving them food. So not only not letting them have somewhere to sleep, which is like a basic human right, but also not giving them food. So these like type of I don't even know what to call it. Like, it's just abuse. It just keeps getting worse and worse and worse, and it shows it on her YouTube channel as the days go on. I mean, she's like YouTubing everything, and people are pulling him up, like, because they're coming out of the, you know, obviously her channel got removed. They're pulling him up, and then towards the end, or when she starts, you know, getting together with Jody more, she starts seeing like things in her husband, because her husband's kind of checked out and doesn't have anything, like no say in like how she punishes her kids or like tries to teach him lessons or anything like that. So
because he doesn't want to sleep on a fucking beanbag,
right? And I mean, yeah, exactly. And like, so Jody, the therapist, starts convincing her that her husband has worldly pleasures that he shouldn't have, and he shouldn't be around the family because these are going to rub off on their children, and he's not ready to be a part of like a family, you know. And the dad's kind of checked out, like he's always like at the gym or at work or like kayaking, you know, like not really involved in like what she's doing at home. And so she says now the dad can't be around the children. So the dad moves out. She has, you know, her oldest already are like moving away from the house. They're getting older. And so she's kind of only stuck with her 2 youngest ones. And she has 2 older ones. So she has like 4 kids in the home at this point, and the 2 oldest ones moved out. So the dad's gone. And so she decides to move in with the therapist who got her license revoked because of all these like allegations of abuse and stuff like that in her therapies. They move in together and they create, I forget the name of it, but it's pretty much like a group where you like can go in and like learn how to raise your kids and like have a better household and like how to have a better relationship with your husbands and all this stuff, right?
But they're gay, right?
Well, at this point, it wasn't out yet. And,
okay.
You know, but they would shun on people that were gay. So if you were gay, you would go to Jody and she would pretty much like do extreme therapies on you. Like,
great hypocrisy.
Yes, like super. So the girls start this thing. So she takes her 2 youngest there. Her 2 oldest are middle children are living at the house, and the dad has nothing to do with this. The dad's not allowed to talk to any of the family members. So as they're in this house, like this huge home, the 8-year-old boy gets out one day, escapes the house because I guess she was like she was like not feeding them. There was like at this point the abuse had gone so bad where they haven't ate, they haven't slept.
He was 8?
No, I'm sorry.
He was
12.
Like 13 or 12.
No, he was 12.
Yeah.
And then his sister was like 8. It was like 8 and 12. Those are the 2 youngest ones. So he gets out. He escapes the house. He goes to the neighbors, and he's like, I'm super hungry. I'm super thirsty. Do you have any food or water? And the neighbor looks at him, and he's got duct tape around his wrists and around his ankles. He's like super skinny. He's got bags under his eyes. He's like obviously malnutritioned. So she obviously calls the cops, right? So the cops show up. They go into the house and they find like a dungeon, like I don't know. They called it like a safety shelter type thing, underground.
Oh, a
bunker type thing. Yeah.
Yeah, you said dungeon.
Well,
you said dungeon. I'm thinking like a sex dungeon, like freaking.
Well.
Oh shit.
Yeah. They wouldn't use it as a bunker. Like they would use it as like where they would keep the kids down there for days and days and days without feeding them, and like it was like not used for safety or whatever. They called it a panic room. Anyway, so they go there and they find the little girl, and then they arrest them on the spot. And as the story starts unfolding, more things start coming out. Jody's niece, who got therapy through her because her parents found out that she was gay, so they dropped her off one day at her aunt's house and never picked her up, came out and did a huge interview about the therapies and the different kinds of like insane modalities that she would do on them. Like she was like pretty much like shunned at the church. So Jody would make her put duct tape over her mouth and go to the temple and like sit and be an example of like what you shouldn't be. So people would walk by and like point at her like, look, she's a lesbian, and like you shouldn't talk to her. And like she would just sit there and like have to go from house to house and talk to families and be like, I was a lesbian and I did bad things, and you guys shouldn't be like me. Do not grow up to be like me. Like made an example out of her. So she came out and did a huge interview and like pretty much exposed her for that, where more people started coming out and saying that like, yeah, they went through that as well. And then it turns out Jody and Ruby have been in a relationship this whole time. So they're lesbians themselves, and they've been like shunning all these people and putting all these people to like all these like torture and like crazy modalities that she came up with, and even her own children. Ruby came out when she got arrested the first time and was like, do not let my son around other children because he will SA them, like, and
but Jody said that?
No, Ruby Franke said that about her own son. Do not let my son.
The 12-year-old?
Yeah, do not let it. He's been doing it since he was 3 years old. He's been addicted to porn since he was 3 years old, and all this other crazy stuff. Like, don't let him around other kids. And then everybody's like, what? Like, what kind of gaslighting is that, right? Like, why would you say that about your own son? But it turns out people started pulling up different videos of her, because she vlogged her whole life. She was the one doing it to her children. Obviously, they're going to learn it from somewhere. Allegedly.
Wait, she was abusing them on freaking TikTok?
On YouTube. And
like sexually abusing them?
Like, there's a lot of signs of her doing that. Like, there's like one where she like bites, like she whispers in her son's ear, the 12-year-old, like, go get a book and we'll read it, on mommy's bed. And then she like nibbles on his earlobe. And he's like, you can see, he's like, ugh. Like, he doesn't want to go and, like, read a book with it. Like, what kid doesn't want to read a book with their mom? You know what I mean? Like, they'd be like, oh, cool. Like, let's read it 500 times, This kid was like, like, I don't want to, There's different things.
He's so like, I got to go to the bathroom first. Then he goes in the bathroom, and he breaks a glass bottle and rolls his wang in, like, freaking Aquaphor and glass. Right. All right, let's go read a book.
Yeah, but she, like... her thing was that she literally recorded everything. So it gives you an inside look of the twisted ways of the church. You know what I mean? Because everything was okay because in her mind, because it was recommended by the church that she sees this therapist, for one. It was recommended that her family goes through all this kind of therapy. It was all hidden under the church. Even though she had her license taken away, it was all hidden under the church, and it was okay. And so then other members of the church would be like, oh, well, this is fine. They both look like they have their life together. She obviously has millions of followers on YouTube. So let's all take our whole family there and get therapy done by Jody. It's crazy. It's crazy.
It's crazy too, because I'm finding that it all comes down to generational. And another thing too is those girls came out and they were saying that there's a secret satanic cult within the LDS. Excuse me. And that's what David Hamlin was being implicated as being a part of. And they even spoke of all the people in their when they were testifying. And then they also said that it spurs all the way back. I think the guy, let me look it up, his name is Crowdery, I think. It was Joseph Smith, and then it was the second president. The second president of Mormonism. Second president or is it prophet? Second prophet? Is that it? Mm-hmm. Mormon founder.
But it's crazy. I mean, it's just insane. So you're saying a lot of it does tie down to it. And I don't know if Jody and Ruby were like they knew what they were doing as far as like the satanic rituals and stuff like that. But it was definitely deeply rooted.
Hey, I just want to do something real quick. I just want to do a shout out to the fucking midgets in the world. Extreme Midget Wrestling right here. Shout out.
In the world. Not all of them wrestle.
Have you ever... I'm shouting out to the ones that do and the fans of them, all right?
I've been to them. That's so fun.
You have?
Yeah.
Dude, my cousin paid I don't even know, a couple $100 or something. And they let him get in the ring and lay on the ground, and the midget did a freaking front flip off the turnbuckle onto him. Pretty cool.
You know what my favorite part of that is, of midget wrestling, is
being hammered.
Oh yeah, I was hammered. But like, you know how in regular wrestling they take the fucking chairs and they hit the people in the back of the like on their back with it. But in midget wrestling they use like the aluminum cookie sheets.
Yeah.
That's my favorite.
It's so loud.
I guess it's better than a teeny tiny foldable chair.
Hey, but they get down though, because there will be like, I don't know how many matches, but they'll have a lineup of like 25 midgets ready to wrestle in case one can't. The other one's going to get in there and do it.
There's a business.
I saw a TikTok of a guy who put on a regular normie. He was in the crowd, put on a mask and slid under the ring, and the two midgets kicked the piss out of him.
Good.
Like swinging, kicking him in the face. He had a fat black eye when he left. Pretty good.
That's awesome. You know what's weird though? When we went, I was a little scarred after because it turned from like midget wrestling to them like giving like all the women on this audience like lap dances. I don't know how that. I was like, why are we going down this road?
He's all, hey, baby, stop asking so many questions. Just follow the yellow brick road.
Oh, man. I love it.
Okay. So, did you know the founder of Mormonism, Joseph Smith, was a Mason?
The fuck? I heard most of the founders were Masons, no?
I don't know about most of them. I know the first 5 were.
First 5? How many? Yeah. Oh my God, dude. Okay,
so the founder of Mormonism, Joseph Smith, was a Freemason, and he became a 33rd degree Freemason in one day.
How?
Yeah, exactly, right?
How?
Don't fucking know. Don't know. But you can look it up. So
he was probably like, I will deliver the souls of 600 people.
Just trust me.
Trust me.
his brother and his dad were also Freemasons, and so like the first Mormon church was a Blue Lodge that Joseph Smith opened in Nauvoo or whatever. So the first Mormon church was a fucking Blue Lodge, was a Masonic lodge, right? And then so after becoming a 33rd degree Mason, he ended up bringing Masonic tenets into Mormonism, and he called it the Revelation.
Okay.
And that's where you tie in like the initiatory washing and anointing and stuff like that.
So a lot of their rituals that they do for the church are the same as the Freemason rituals, or they have some sort of like root in it or tie. Because I thought that was really weird too, like how you get your
underwear.
Magical underwear.
Yeah. I tried looking on Amazon to get a pair. I had a buddy that he's
Why
not.
Did you want a pair? Just
to wear it and fucking I'd fucking post that shit on Instagram. I don't give a fuck. I'm not Mormon.
It's really thin.
Yeah, and what would happen is whoever supposedly got those and gave those to me, they'd be excommunicated because I'm not a Mormon.
I'm sure there's a lot of people who are leaving the church.
I know. So, hey, if you're a fan and you're an ex-Mormon or you are able to get your hands on some magic garments for me, I'm like fucking a big guy with whatever you think will fit on a 6'4", 230-pound man.
So, okay.
38 pants. And fucking extra large to double XL t-shirts.
Let's talk about this ritual, though, to get these, like, garments, right? So they have to, what do you do? Like,
what do you know about it?
I just know, okay, so before you get them on, because I was watching a TikTok of this guy who is gay, and he was, like, promised that if he converted to Mormonism, the gayness would go away, pretty much. Like, he wouldn't be gay anymore. Because
I heard that they're gay because they love the gayness.
So he would be protected if he joined the church. So if he gave he committed his life to being Mormon, he would be protected because there was no such things as having gay thoughts inside of the temple or of the Mormon church. You're protected. Your mind's protected. Mm-hmm. So he said he went in and they were going to do the garments. And so before they did that, so pretty much he said, okay, you join this church, you're protected from your gay thoughts. So he joined it. He said he was about to receive his garments, underwear, his whatever magical underwear. And so they had him undress and like put on this like really thin
so poncho with no sides on it.
Yeah, like a super exposed poncho. So they were like, so pretty much he said, okay, you join this church, you're protected from your gay thoughts. So he joined it. He said he was about to receive his garments, underwear, his whatever magical underwear. And so they had him undress and like put on this like really thin
so poncho with no sides on it.
Yeah, like a super exposed poncho. So they were like, okay, put this on. This is like so annoying. I'm so sorry.
You're good. Just pause it. You're good.
I want to mark it. What are you guys doing? Oh my gosh. Okay. Anyway.
Yeah. Slits down the sides of them damn ponchos.
The sides.
You know
and so they tell him like, okay, and he was like, and then this guy came up that was going to present him with his garments, whatever the fuck they're called.
He's like, bend over and let me see your gayness.
No, he was very attractive, and he was obviously, already kind of naked. And the guy's like, well, I gotta lather this oil all over you before you get your garments.
Yeah.
And the guy's like, and he's like, I thought I was going to be protected from my gay thoughts. And he was like, I couldn't help it. I fucking got an erection. And the guy's like rubbing the oil on him and shit. And he was like, all like panicking, like, what's going on? Like, I thought we weren't supposed. So I guess that's what they do, right? They rub oil all over your body.
Well, they wash you first.
They wash you and then they rub oil all over you. And then you can wear the The holy underwear.
Here's the kicker, though. So there's like, they've changed the ritual now.
Yeah.
And they don't want you to really know, like, that they're trying to erase the past and make, hey, look, everybody, we're not like that.
That was a lie.
Yeah, but pre-1990, a lot of things were different, and that's where like those tenets of Freemasonry were very evident in the past. So I wrote it down. The initiatory washing and anointing. There's actually two of them. Oh, yeah. There's actually, there's two of them, but they say if you don't know about the second one, it's because you weren't invited. It's a personal invitation. Oh. And they don't like people to know because, like, say I got personally invited to the fucking second washing and anointing, right? And you do all the same things. You tithe, you work hard, you donate time to the church, and you can be like, what the fuck? Where's my invitation, dick? Right?
Yeah.
So, first one is the one where you have to get your magic underwear. It's like the first thing you got to do, right? So they separate the men and women, and they go through like, so I think now they have a class for it where they teach I say kids, but they teach the people, this is what's going to happen. We're going to wash you and pray for every part of your body while we wash you. And then when we're done, we're going to rub oil on you and pray for you in every body part we're washing.
Let me wash you.
Okay, so the first washing and anointing, they separate the men and the women, right? And pre-1990, they used to get just straight butt-ass naked and wear that poncho, like Homeboy was saying. Now they can wear like temple clothes. I guess nobody could wear like civilian clothes into the temple, so they put their stuff in the locker and lock it.
Okay.
It's that full moon. Just let that shit go. You gotta let it go, bro.
Okay.
Okay, so yeah, they have lockers. So they go in the locker room, they take their clothes off, they put these temple clothes on, and they used to like have the key safety pinned on with a big ass safety pin, right? Now before, so this was in like pre-1990, before they would do any of this, they're butt naked in a poncho. They've already done like their interviews with the different priests or whatever to do this, and so they do a blood oath. So they swear a blood oath, and that's where they do, if they are to give out any of the secrets or names of anything of the Mormon Church, they have to do this. I'll be slit from ear to ear and my tongue rooted from my mouth. And then they say same shit, but then they'll be disemboweled, like they do the whole same thing with their stomach. And their entrails will be fed to the beasts and the birds. Well, what's funny is that's damn near word for word the Masonic execution for if you speak of the things that you learn in Masonry, that's what's to happen to you.
So has that ever happened to anybody? Like, what do you think?
Supposedly it's happened back then. Like,
yeah.
But I don't know about now. Like, up until the 90s, even now, if you were to talk to like Generation Z fucking Mormon, they wouldn't even know this shit existed unless they looked it up or someone told them.
Yeah, that's what I'm talking about. Like, I think some of the abuse has like those kind of roots, but they have no idea that they're doing it anymore. It's just become part of the regular practice of the church.
Yeah, it's like they got no roots, but their home was never in the ground.
Yeah.
You know that song? Yeah. I got no roots, but my home was never in the ground. No?
No.
It's a chick. I got no roots. I got no roots. All right. So they do that. They do their little blood oath thing, and then they get in this little vat, and like I said, they wash them. And while they wash them, they pray a prayer over every part of the body while I wash that body. And then after they finish washing, they say, now I'm going to rub oil all over that body while I pray for that body. Type thing. I just like to add that to it, you know what I mean?
No, but I'm sure it was creepier than that.
Probably, you know. In the background, they probably had that one song. One more night. One more night. Playing in the background.
Oh my gosh.
Okay,
Just
so the second.
Relax.
Just relax. Let the hands do the talking.
Oh my god.
So, hey, I know it's true. The hips don't lie. So, the second washing is.
I don't know why I picture that. What's that one song? I don't want to wait. No, it's a cool. Anyway, okay. So.
Yeah, I picture the guy from. You remember True Lies?
No.
With Arnold Schwarzenegger.
Oh yeah. Okay.
And is it Jamie Lee Curtis or? Yeah. And so when I was doing that voice, I was thinking the bad guy. Take off your clothes, lie on the bed. Good. And he's all like trying to rewind and play back the freaking thing while he sits in the chair and he's watching his wife.
He's like, yes, the highlight of my evening.
Good. Okay, so the second washing is by personal invitation only.
Wow.
Like they come to your house and they're like, hey.
He's well hung. You're invited
check
to
it out. We've been talking and one time wasn't enough. We got to get our hands on you one more time.
You like so then what we saw.
Yeah. I like the way that poncho fits you. So then
real tight like.
Yeah, right. I like the way the wind flows between that slit. But so they come to your house, they get you your invitation, and then you have to set up an appointment for it at the temple, right? Well, they have a fucking temple suite there, like a super lush like temple suite, and they do like the prayers and stuff, and so the apostle washes the man's feet, and then the wife washes the man's feet, and then the wife puts her hands on the man's head and she bestows a blessing upon him or whatever. Which, you know, that in Mormonism they're like, well, only the man get the Melchizedek priesthood or whatever. Fucking dogs. And but of all those things that I have just spoke of, nothing really blows my mind more than the baptisms for the dead.
What is that? You like what?
Okay. So I'm going to share a screen with you in a minute, but they call this thing the baptismal font, right? Okay. And it's like this weird fucking fountain. Here, I'll just share it real quick. Do you see it?
Yes. So wait, not yet. It's coming up right now. Yeah. Wow. What are the goats? What are the goats for?
They're actually, people say bull, but the
bull.
The Mormon church say that they're oxen, and there's 12 of them, and they represent the 12 tribes of Israel.
What? Yes. I didn't even think Mormonism related to Israel at all. Do they relate to like the Jews or like?
Well, they believe in Jesus Christ, so they try and relate as much to the Bible as they can.
But wouldn't that be Christian?
Yeah, that's why it's like their own form of such. They say that Mormonism is the only path, no other path is correct. They're the only ones who are correct.
Because they found those like golden tabernacles or whatever.
Yeah, not only that, but the whole thing is based off of that, and he used a seer stone to fucking read them.
Okay.
So you see how there's that like vat above it,
Uh-huh.
above the bowls. They fill that up with water, right?
Okay.
So then they have these fucking kids come in, and they're 12 to 18 years old only. These kids that can do the baptisms.
Okay.
And they come in those fucking sheer temple gowns, right? And they get in the water.
What do they have? They have chonies on under, right? Or no?
I don't know, but dude, it's like to me, it's like a fucking teenager wet T-shirt contest, is what it sounds like to me.
Yeah, that's why I'm like, do they wear?
Yeah.
Boys and girls.
Yeah.
That would be a fat, hard no to me. Hell no.
Yeah. Hold on, it gets better. So
yeah.
I'm gonna read this while I got that up there. I got it saved on my phone. Give me 1 second. As long as this piece of shit works. Okay, here we go. Here we go. Okay. So the baptismal font inside the Mormon temple sits atop 12, usually all white alabaster bowls, which stand in a circle facing outwards. The font is in the basement of the temple, which is supposed to be a simulation of a grave. The bowls and font are typically 2 stories tall. So that's how big that is. That's supposed to be like a 2-story building.
Wow.
Yeah, so baptisms for the dead are typically performed by 12 to 18-year-old kids who make a field trip type of adventure in groups with a leader in their congregation. After exhaustive interviews performed by the Mormon bishop of their ward to determine worthiness, the child is awarded the temple required to enter into the temple. Is awarded, sorry. Once at the temple, the kids are ushered into the locking rooms where they can rent temple clothing and change into their all-white clothes. No worker or patron does any work inside the temple while wearing street clothing. After the group prayer, each child walks alone down a ramp or up some stairs to the baptismal font at the end of the ramp, and the child steps into the font and down a few stairs inside the baptismal font where an officiator is waiting to perform the baptisms by proxy. The child stands next to the officiator on the platform inside the font, where he prays a scripted prayer and inserts the dead person's name at the appropriate time. Off to the side of the font, sometimes on the ceiling above, is a large screen with a dead person's name on it. The number of baptisms performed per child ranges anywhere from 10 to 200 for each visit, depending on the needs at that temple. The officiator raises his right arm to the square and with his left hand holds onto the arm of the child and pronounces the following words before he dunks him in the water. Brother or sister blank, having been commissioned of Jesus Christ, I baptize you for and in behalf of blank, who is dead, in the name of the Father, the Son, and the Holy Ghost. Amen.
What?
Yeah, dude. So they're literally having these 12 to 18-year-old kids get in this 2-story bathtub that's sitting on the backs of 12 bulls in all white clothes and dip some dead guy's name in the water 10 to 200 times each per kid.
I feel like they take the common thing that I've seen without like all these cults and stuff is they take things that you would fear, right? So I would fear being like naked in front of so many people and like death. Obviously, everybody kind of has like questionable feelings about that. And they make these rituals based on that so that you almost have this like underlying like fear of the religion and they expose you to it, right? And so like obviously growing up, they're going to be like, oh, one day you're going to do this ritual. And this ritual consists of this and that. And you're thinking about it, you know? Like you can't tell
I think a lot of it I'm sorry, I interrupted you.
No, go ahead. Go on.
I think a lot of it is, well, I know all of it is mind control. So
Yeah.
the point of stripping somebody down to being naked is to make them vulnerable.
Yeah.
It's not and there's nothing around that. It's to exude your power over them. And then not only that, but it's also you have nothing to hide now. You know what I mean?
But also the anxiety leading up to that. Like, they obviously tell you that you're going to be doing this ritual one day, and like, oh, your dad did it and your grandpa did it. They don't. Sometimes they just like show up and then you just do it.
So would you rather them tell you so you're ready for somebody to wash your naked body, or would you just all of a sudden like, oh, and that guy didn't know, he just got a hard on.
Yeah. That's fucking crazy.
Right? And so those are just a couple that I had found recently that really are like pretty weird for me, Yeah. And then we're talking about David Hamblin, David Levitt. So that's another guy who was implicated or whatever by Hamblin's daughters as an abuser. And they actually said that him and his wife were involved in the abuse and cannibalism.
What? Cannibalism?
So, yeah, that's what I was saying. There's so much to it. Like, we'll have to do a separate episode on that because they, through their what do you call it? Testifying and to a cop, or what do you call that? In their interview with the police.
Yeah.
They speak of that cult within the LDS Church that was satanic and how it was all satanic ritual abuse. And so David Levitt was the Utah County Attorney General, and there was some stuff where he was being implicated in the Utah trafficking ring, right? And what's funny is those ties also tied to Mitt Romney in a way. So he had actually testified, or he had prosecuted David Hamblin on a separate account for like poaching a deer or something like that. And this was when he was like the Native American shaman. So he got off with it and said it was for ritualistic purposes that he killed the deer. But like they had caught him on peyote and he got off with that because he was a shaman. It was legal for him to have it. And so I kind of feel like David Levitt was kind of like, look, I prosecuted him too. If I was on his team, I fucking wouldn't have done that. Or if he was my friend. But at the same time, like, I don't know. And if you look into his brother, Michael O'Levitt, I'm going to look his name up, but that was the governor of Utah. So.
And they were all anti-human trafficking?
Who?
Okay. Because, like, you're talking about how they tie into, like, human trafficking, right?
Mm-hmm. One of them was with the Underground Railroad.
Yeah, Tim Ballard.
Yeah, there you go.
So that's the guy. They made the movie The Sound of Freedom after him, and he was recently arrested for the same allegations. So trip out on this. Okay, so he's the one who did Operation Railroad, and then they made the movie off of him. There was a bunch of people who like followed him and who would donate to the Operation Railroad. So there's like in the Mormon or in the LDS, whatever you want to call it, church, the stay-at-home moms tend to get into MLM organizations like doTERRA, the hair one, Alt Monove or whatever. One of the big ones, like doTERRA, would donate millions of dollars to the Underground Railroad organization. And they even did a little like a specific oil that you could hand out. So if you thought someone was a victim of like human trafficking, or if you saw like a prostitute on the street or something, you would give them the oil and be like, oh, this perfume's for you. And then they, under the label, they would have like the hotline for the Underground Railroad organization, so they can call and get out So pretty much redirecting them to that organization specifically. They're already in that. So, I mean, might as well get them deeper into human trafficking. But go ahead, get a snack. Yes. Sorry.
You're good.
So, so millions of dollars that doTERRA donated to the Underground Railroad. And this guy, I think literally Tim Ballard was arrested when like September or back in August. He was originally charged with 10 counts of sexual exploitation of a child. 10 counts for sexual misconduct. Yeah, and they did that whole movie and shit after him. It's just like so deeply rooted, and it's just sad because like I said, I'm sure a lot of these moms had no idea that all this oil that they're slinging to their family and friends and everybody was being donated to an organization who was ran by someone who was a child abuser, a child predator.
It's fucking unreal.
Yeah, and they thought, oh, we're just making money for our children, or for our family, like, and they're hustling. And this one girl said that she personally went out to Salt Lake and like drove the streets looking for prostitutes or anybody who looked like a sex worker to give them the oils, like, and would ask for more oil from all her friends and family, like, oh, give it to me, I'll go out. So pretty much she's being the middleman for this organization so that they can have direct access to these people for human trafficking.
So that same guy, Michael O'Levitt, the governor of Utah, he's now, August 2021, he became president of the Tabernacle Choir at Temple Square.
Wow.
So that's formerly known as the Mormon Tabernacle Choir, is an American choir acting as part of the Church of Jesus Christ of Latter-day Saints. It is performed in the Salt Lake Tabernacle for over 100 years.
Damn.
So it's like the big show.
Yeah.
Yeah.
How many people in power are from the Mormon Church?
I don't know. That's kind of where I've been working on right now, is finding that out and finding the origins of such. I know one thing, a lot of it is all, like I said, it's all programming. And there's a definite intelligence presence there. And also, they just keep their mouths shut.
Wow. 17 of our presidents have been a part of the LDS Church.
I believe that. How many candidates running for presidency? Probably a shit ton.
Ever or?
Ever.
So right now, well, it says 8. I don't know how.
No. Not totally.
That doesn't make sense. Yeah, there's more. I mean, the big thing is the Mitt Romney thing. That's crazy.
So I saw a documentary where they asked the bishop now, the head guy now, whatever the hell his name is. So pre-90, you guys had a thing where you do this and you do that. And he's like, oh yeah, pre-90, da, da, da. And so he's like, so Mitt Romney did that then, swore allegiance and to keep secrets, but with penalty of slitting throat and disembowelment. Oh no, Mitt Romney didn't do that. Like, yeah, he fucking did, because you said that they did it before the 90s, and he was a Mormon before 1990.
Yeah,
he's been in it his whole life, and he's just like, okay, bud. He's the only exception.
Yeah, everybody that had to do it.
Fucking wild. Yeah, I really enjoyed this subject, so I will continue digging. I want to do more. Oh, and what's crazy too is David Levitt, the guy who prosecuted Hamblin for poaching that deer. So Hamblin was actually David Levitt's elders quorum president. So at church, it's kind of like a God called position of authority. So so the fucking therapist that was having people abuse his kids and he was raping his kids and they were doing all that satanic shit was in a God appointed position of authority through the church over David Levitt, the Utah County Attorney General, that was implicated in the Utah trafficking ring.
Wow.
So, and now he says, so there's articles right now where David Levitt's coming out and he's like, I don't like that. My wife and I are being implicated. We're not cannibals. You probably seen the interview. We're not cannibals. Yada, yada, yada. That's all he said. We're not cannibals. He didn't say any of the other stuff.
He's all, I may abuse children, but I don't eat them.
Well, here's what's funny, dude. Then he goes on and he's talking about everybody started talking about him and this and that. And he's like, and it's like, no, dude, nobody started talking about you until you went on air in public and said that you and your wife aren't fucking cannibals.
Yeah, like so suspicious.
And he's the one I think that and now him and his wife live in Scotland in a castle, right? They packed up and split. But yeah. God called position of authority and then he's freaking raping his kids.
So gross.
Oh, there's another one too. Did you hear about that guy Michael Johnson in Arizona? It was a Mormon case.
Yeah. There's a lot happening in Arizona. Yes.
Oh. Let's see. Michael Johnson, Mormon. AC. Let's see. It doesn't even come up when I look it up. Oh, another big one too was, do you hear the shit about the Boy Scouts of America?
My son was in the Boy Scouts when all that happened.
Did you, like, recently?
He got out probably like 4 years ago.
I'm saying recently, like within the last few weeks. There's been
what happened now?
Let's see. Says, so this was 3 weeks ago. Boy Scout whistleblower, Mormon Church swayed abuse policy. Boy Scouts of America whistleblower says administrators blocked proposed child protection measures because they feared objections from the Church of Jesus Christ of Latter-day Saints.
Oh my gosh. So, okay, there's like different laws in Utah too. I don't know if we talked about this yet, but there's like certain protection that like Utah has over everybody else, right? Like when it comes to like protecting people, abusers, I would say.
I don't know. I know I have friends that live in Utah and they said there's like one community there where like everybody there in that community are fucking polygamists. Like that's
oh my gosh.
You're not in that community unless you are one. Because I think it's frowned upon by everybody else in Utah.
Yeah.
But what's weird is it's in their Book of Mormon. It's like fucking like something 132, but they all skip over it because they're like, well, we don't believe in polygamy. Yeah, but it's in your fucking Bible. You can't just pick and choose what you want to believe. Like, I don't believe half the shit you do, but you know, like, I gotta take it all to understand it, to try to understand you. It's fucking weird.
There's no understanding. Yeah, they have
Michael
weird laws.
Jensen. Michael Jensen. So this was this was in 2018. Yeah.
Wow.
And, okay, so this is how they found out about Mormon. Like, here's the headlines. Mormon Church has been accused of using a victim's hotline to hide claims of sexual abuse. And then sexual abuse case against Mormon Church begins in West Virginia. Um, and what's funny is, I mean, it's not funny, but so that Michael Jensen guy,
Uh-huh.
the bishops knew about the abuse that was happening, and they never said anything. That's it. Just got swept under the rug. So then he ended up. I think him and his wife got a divorce or something, and he got with this other chick, and she had kids around the same age. And the ex-wife's like, "Yo, don't let him around your fucking kids." Um, like, they're around my kids same age, and you know what he got in trouble for. Like, don't do it. You're opening a can of worms. She's like, oh, whatever. And he ended up abusing those kids too. So let's see here.
And okay, so if you are abused by someone in the church and you go up to the leader of your church or whatever, they just ask you to forgive them. They make you like explain what happened to them in detail, and then be like, okay, well, now you got to forgive them. You got to forgive your abuser, and they don't do anything to the abuser. It just kind of gets swept under the rug, even if it's the same abuser over and over again. Like, how? Like, what is in their mind? What makes them think that all this stuff is okay? Like, it obviously hurts the people, when they're older and stuff. Like, they're fucked up. It just keeps happening and happening.
So it's basically the kid, Michael Jensen or whatever, was like a teenager, and his dad was the high priest in the Mormon Church in West Virginia or whatever.
Yeah.
And the mom said that if you ever need to get out, Michael's available to babysit. He's a great babysitter. And for college.
No, thank you.
Yeah. So, said over the next few years, Spring said she noticed some small but troubling changes in her children. According to Spring, her oldest son, who had been an active 4-year-old boy, now seemed to suffer from severe separation anxiety. Both boys, who had been potty trained, had started wetting the bed and experiencing night terrors. After 4 years, Spring said she would find out what had happened to the kids. Said one night in January 2012, her then husband called her into the living room where he had been playing video games with the younger son. He asked their son to repeat to Spring what he had said. Said that when Michael had babysat him, that Michael sexually molested him. And the older brother confirmed that too. And what was irritating is there was already people who had called in these allegations and told them, hey, this fucking guy's doing this. And they didn't say anything because the bishops aren't held to say anything. And I don't know if I talked about it already on here, but like, they were saying, okay, well, if you have abuse allegations, don't call the police. Just call this hotline. And so the hotline would go to the law office that so it was a hotline that would go to the law office that represents the LDS Church, and they were saying that like they get all these calls in during the day, and by the end of the day they just throw them away. They wouldn't even bring them up. They would say the name, and then basically if they tried to bring up something and take it to court, they'd throw it out and it could never be brought back up.
Wow.
Yeah.
So what's the point? At that point you're like, well, why do I even say anything?
Yeah. And then I can't remember if this was the same thing with the Arizona. I have to look into it again, but there was a big one in Arizona too. And what's crazy is freaking it's like the United States Vatican.
It really is. Now you like
You know
say
what I mean?
it. There was this website. It was like what was it? Floodlit l.floodlit.org. And you go on there, right?
Floodlit. Mm-hmm.
Yeah. And it's a map. And it's a map where you can post anonymously after you've been abused by someone in the Mormon church, and you can like kind of confess it or like speak on it. And it has got little pins all over the United States, and you click on one of the pins and it'll be like, he hurt me, years of this, my own uncle, or like, and there's
Floodlit.
Yeah, Floodlit. It's l.floodlit.org. And people go on there and just like anonymously like just put what they've been through, where they can just get it off their chest, because obviously nobody's believing them in that church. They're giving them the runaround, like, well, too bad. So yeah, it's crazy. There's a bunch of little pins all over the United States where people are just confessing or like getting things off their chest, or like, I'm here to support my cousins because my uncle did it to them for years and we knew about it and we weren't allowed to say anything. Like,
Man, we got to do more on this David Hamlin, because there's a lot of stuff that I left out, and I'd really like to hit the interview with the kids. They're not kids now; they're adults, but yeah, it's good. It's been a crazy episode. Lots of info.
Yeah, and there's always going to be more and more. And I feel like as the days go by, like more people are being exposed, because just even from August to now, like there's been like 4 big major arrests that have happened in the church, and more is going to come out. It's just bound to come out. So yeah, we'll just keep unraveling it, and just go as the days go on.
Yeah. Another thing too is when they arrested David Hamlin, they're like, he's the first in many arrests to come. His wife since has been arrested too. So.
Damn.
That was
part of the
this month.
I really think it's part of the unveiling. A lot of the unveiling and a lot of the stuff that's going on, the age of Aquarius. So.
Yeah, for sure.
Yeah. All right. Well, we hope you guys enjoyed this show.
Yes,
we had fun.
Enjoy yourself.
I can talk about this forever, so we'll just keep going on. But yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah. We'll talk
put
to
the
you
paper in the plastic. All right. Okay.
Okay.
I gotta go pick